Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel Zamora, and thank you so much for watching. So for today's video, I'm revealing what my biggest insecurity is that y'all have already seen, cause it's on my face. I'm more so revealing the surgery, but as well as how this insecurity made me feel for like a couple of years, well, for several years. I want to explain my mindset around this surgery as well, because some people on Twitter and in my DMs were rather upset that I was talking about it. I understand that talking about a surgery during these times could be rather insensitive because people's lives are being so drastically affected by what's going on in the world. And I've delayed this surgery since I wanted to get it April of 2020, but everything closed down in March. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I was kind of like way too scared to even travel in the beginning of the year. It took a lot, just a lot of research, a lot of conversations with my doctor, a lot of just even calling the airlines, be like, what is the process with this airline? I've been regularly tested so that I wasn't asymptomatic and spreading it to people. I wanted to make sure that I did my part. That's like the only thing that I can think of that people would be upset. I'm thinking that the overall root of the upsetness might be that. Like, I don't know why people were so upset. It was kind of like weird. Like, how upset. With anything as serious as surgery, I feel like I have to tread the water lightly because I've spoken about my filler in detail on my channel. And even then, like, people get upset. I understand it, but I like to be here to be informative and almost kind of just share my experience with y'all. Like, I think that's what makes it fun for me a little bit more, and for us, that I like to be an open book in as many parts of my life as I possibly can. There's some things that I definitely like to keep to myself. I'm like, this is a private little book. You don't need to know this. And there's some things where I'm like, yes, I'm willing to be that open book for somebody because I find certain things like this fascinating. It was like as heavy as hate as like the political hate that I've been getting, because I get it within this last like year. I've been overly political on my platform in comparison to how I've spoken about politics in the past. But I love the conversation that it has created with us. I think the main reason why I want to share this with you is because you may not want what I got done, but you might be having the same conversations within yourself. And that's how I feel like this video could help. For me, my insecurity really started in high school. I started to notice that this part of me was different. I was like, okay, like, it's not like everybody else's, which is fine. Nothing bad, but still bad. So it's nothing bad, but I was starting to be like, okay, like, it's not normal per se. So then I started to take acting classes like right after high school. I wasn't bullied for this insecurity, thank God. But I would be asked like, oh, like, why does it look like that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's always looked like that. It wasn't until I started taking acting classes out of high school that my acting coach said, your face doesn't read well on camera. I was like, okay. And it was a certain area. If you know my story well, then you know kind of what I'm talking about. If you don't know, I'm being vague, bitch. I'm being vague until the final review. How do I fix this? Like, what do I do? Like, dude. And she said, look into makeup and see how makeup can help that. So in reality, I feel like that's what really led down the rabbit hole of makeup, because I had like tried one makeup product in high school and it was like a white eyeliner. But my acting coaches were really made me like Google, like, how do I do this with makeup? And then I started to play with everything. I started to fall in love with makeup and everything it kind of created. It just spread. It went into foundations, concealers, liquid lipsticks, liners, like bronzers, blushes, highlights. Like, it just became a fantasy. I fell into the fantasy of makeup and I loved it so. But I, over time, became very dependent. And it started to become where I looked off when it wasn't the whole shebang. Like, I looked off and I started to really understand, what is it that looks off? when I don't do my home makeup? Is it the foundation? I'm like, no, like I can kind of deal with not wearing foundation. Like right now I'm not wearing any makeup. But there was like this one area where I couldn't not have. And it became like this mask. I began to like create a mask that I could always put on to not have to deal with this insecurity that I'm like, oh, I can just like, I can cover it up. Like, oh my God, like that's what kind of like certain parts of makeup did to me. So I would be cautious with makeup sometimes because it can lead down a tricky little path, okay? I'm only saying it from my own personal experience. It became very like, I didn't want to go out of my house if I didn't have certain products on my face. I liked who I looked like with makeup on only. Like it was just, and I've met a lot of people who are like, I'm not me if I don't have the full beat. And I'm like, damn, like I feel that. I know for me, I don't want to have that because I don't wear makeup on a regular. Like there's, especially during quarantine, I'm like, I'm not wearing a whole lot of makeup and I'm noticing that I'm seeing this insecurity a lot more. And I'm like, wow, like, okay. One thing that I always am like, you have to be wary about is that any surgery is a risk. So that the quarantine, and then I just had like fears about it that I had to like kind of overcome. I had like 3 big fears about it. One was, Gabriel, what if you do this and like, oh, I mean, you're having, okay, I can't even tell you my fears. I just realized because I would have to tell you what the surgery is. It is time to reveal what I got done. Are you ready? Oh my God, are you ready, everyone? Are you motherfucking ready? I bought eyebrows. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel Zamora and I bought eyebrows. And this isn't microblading. This is a full hair transplant onto my eyebrows. I bought eyebrows. That's still like, what? I bought eyebrows. Period. I bought eyebrows, period. Let me see. Let's super zoom you in. To the people that thought I got a nose job, what's wrong with my nose? There's nothing wrong with my nose. People are like, oh, you got a nose job. I know you got a nose job. And I'm like, bitch, are you trying to imply that I would be insecure about my nose? Like, I have a cunty little nose, okay? Like, look at this. When I was younger, I was insecure about my nose only because it was always so prominent because I didn't have eyebrows, dude. And now I fucking have eyebrows. Look at how much smaller my nose looks because I have brows. And then what I'm getting next, bitch, I'm getting another surgery like literally tomorrow. Is it like a surgery? I don't know. It's an aesthetic thing. It's definitely something to my face again. I'm not going crazy, okay? Don't think, no, it's just, that has its own issues in and of itself that have to be fixed. And I said, well, if I'm in there already, might as well do some more. But yeah, I got eyebrows, you guys. It's like full on little hairs. So, okay. So now I can tell you what my 3 fears were. So my 3 fears going into this and why I didn't like want to just like, I was like, fuck, was, one was, this was only me making this up in my head, was what if when I do this surgery, it weirdly activates in my body to like, yes, I'll have brows, but then I'll start to like lose my hair. And I would be so sad because I have such a good head of hair. Like I would be so sad. Like I would be so fucking sad. And then I'd be like, am I willing to trade it? And I wasn't. I was like, I'll just fill in my brows. Well, Gabriel, it's a trade-off. You have a good head of hair. You just don't have eyebrows. My second fear, once I really started to do research on like hair transplants, because I was like, oh, you could do a hair transplant for your hair. Can you do it somewhere else? And there's a lot of doctors now, but at the time, this was like years ago, I've been doing research now for like about 5 years, especially in LA. I started to do more research because LA is like, bitch, everybody gets work done. So everybody talks about it. I knew somebody who had a hair transplant, but the transplanted hair texture changed to very coarse, rather pubic. And it scared me because I'm like, I don't know if I want that on my eyebrows. I think I would just rather fill them in because it's such a thing in my face. Like if I got that in my hairline, I can hide that. I can fully hide that with my hair and be like, oh no, it's fine. Like, yeah, it's living, right? But if it's on my face, dude, like it's on my face, like, I don't know if I could do all that. Once I got over those two things, I was like, Gabriel, you're just making shit up about your hairline, right? Just going away if you get brows. The second one was make sure you check your doctor's work to make sure that they've done this before and what is the many clients that they've done this with look like before and afters. And I think my third one was just, it was my insecurity blanket. You know how they call something a security blanket? This was my insecurity blanket. It was like a part of me that it felt like I had owned it to where like I would like kind of like make fun of it. I didn't care about it as much as I used to in my, like when I was like 21. I was like, I'm not as insecure about it. It's something that I've owned. You can't hurt me from it anymore. But if I could, I would change it. It was very that. I felt like I would be closing a chapter or getting rid of a Gabriel, if that makes sense, because it was such a part of me that I felt like I would be getting rid of a certain Gabriel that I'm like, but I love Gabriel. And it took understanding that these things don't always do that. But it's still weird to see this on my face. Like it's still weird. I love it. I'm excited for it, but it's still weird. This is hair restoration, but on your eyebrows. The details, let's just quickly skim through them. I got 727 hairs extracted from the back of my head to my brows. There's two different types of processes to get a hairline restoration. I only saw this once and it was like they put like this balloon in your scalp and they inflate it and then they like cut out that skin and then they like sew it back in and then you just have like a line in the back and then they get that piece of skin and then they get all the hairs from there for the hairline restoration. But that's especially crucial if you are getting a lot of hairs, a couple thousand, okay? So for me, since we only estimated to do about 700, we didn't need to do a strip. We did the FUE treatment. And the FUE treatment is basically, imagine like a machine like this, right? It's like real pointed. And imagine this is the hair follicle. This is the machine. It goes over the hair. It takes out a chunk of the meat as well, all around it. Not just the follicle, the meat around it as well. And then you remove it, but you have to remove it individually. So it's not just like a chunk. So removing that was a 3-hour process. Now you're probably wondering, how long did it take? How much did it cost? So it was about an 8-hour long office visit from doing the paperwork, getting the hairs taken off, then taking a break, taking a lunch break, and then turning around and then getting the hairs implanted onto my face, implanted all right here. I was like, these are the brows that I want. I have been collecting photos for like 2.5 years. I've been collecting photos. I have a full album on my Instagram of random people that I'll see on my Explore page, people that I know, just eyebrows that I like. And I was like, this is the brow for me. If you're wondering price, this is $10,000. This is for me, okay? This is just for me. So I'm currently just in my healing process. I was very swollen, especially here within the first couple of days. Like my cheekbones were high. A lot of the swelling went down to my lips. Like my upper lip was big, dude. They are gonna change simply because this isn't the final form. Within the 14-day mark, the hairs are to fall off. And within, they say 3 months, the hairs start to fully grow in. They might start growing in earlier. Fingers crossed that they do, because this comes from a good head of hair. But yeah, I'm super excited. My personal insecurity is my personal journey that I want to share with you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Zamora and about eyebrows. I'm gonna just be living my life with my brows, bitch. Like, what? Yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything that you want to talk about down in the comment section down below. Maybe there's a certain surgery that you would like to know more about, and y'all can kind of create a conversation. I love when y'all create a community conversation within these comments. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to my channel to continue to see my brows. Oh, I'm gonna be so annoying because I know I design good brows. Like I was so pretty and now I'm like so much prettier. Oh, and by the way, the funnest part about this is once they start to grow in, they grow in like the hair on my head. So I have to trim my brows once a week, okay? So yeah, I bought eyebrows, but it comes with a cost. But at the end of the day, I will trim my brows every day if it means I have brows. Because, bitch, I bought brows. Like, leave me alone. Let me go live my brow having ass life. Brow having ass Gabriel Zamora. Remember when it was like no brow having ass Gabriel Zamora? Now it's brow having ass Gabriel Zamora. Period. Bye, everyone.